Really?
That's a mic check, dumbass.
That's not a mic check. You're an animal.
I watched a lot of David Attenborough on the plane.
I bet you did. You want to start? You want to start?
No, you start it.
You're listening to the Dollop on the All Things Comedy Network. This is a bilingual American history podcast.
You need to learn another language if you're going to do that.
Each week, I read a story from American history.
Your name is?
David Anthony, to my friend
Gareth Reynolds, who has no idea what the topic is going to be about. Bam! Mic drop, and then intro.
And called it, quote, his jam pad.
Jam pad?
I'm the fucking hippo guy!
Dave, okay.
My name's Gary.
My name's Gary. Wait, is it for fun?
And this is not going to become the Tiggly podcast.
Okay.
This is like anarchy!
On a 5-part coefficient.
My room's aflame!
Now hit him with the puppy.
You both present sick arguments.
No sleep till hippo!
No sleep till hippo.
Action part.
Hi, Gary.
No.
Nicely done, my friend.
I thought that was the old
We're
one.
live.
Oh,
Step it up.
I
Have
thought
your
that
morning
was-
voice on.
I thought for a minute.
We're live.
How do I turn him so I can't hear him? How do I turn him down?
I think I might have to leave.
So we have a new show announced, Chicago, on December 1st.
Bingo.
Yeah, tickets are now on sale. Go to the Dollop on Tour, the
DollopPodcast.
DollopPodcast.com tour schedule. We got other cities: Boise, Salt Lake City, Denver, Minneapolis, 2 shows, Nashville, Madison, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Boston, Royal Oak, Michigan, which I don't think is an actual place, but we'll find out.
I can't wait to meet the king.
Yeah, I don't think that's...
I shall bow before him of Royal Oak. Your Majesty,
So far, our first podcast back is not
we
great.
represent Los Angeles. The kingdom of Dollop hath your back.
We are brought to you by Brooklinen. Gareth, you enjoy sleeping, right?
I am a big fan of sleep.
Okay, so
Love a good sleep.
like a third of your life, right? Sleeping.
Yeah, I think of anyone's life, but yeah, mine
Yeah.
for sure. I am for that.
Yeah. So wouldn't you want really good sheets if you were going to sleep a third of your life?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Unless you were sleeping on stones or something.
Yeah.
You
and
sleep in a
even
bed.
then, I would rather have nice
sheets?
sheets on the stones. Absolutely,
All right,
spice it
well,
up.
That's what Brooklinen is. They are the best, most comfortable sheets. No big markup. Did I say sheeps?
You are saying
Yeah.
sheep, so I want to be
Sheets.
clear.
They're not sheep.
They're not offering.
They
that.
are not sheep. They were started in April 2004 by husband and wife team because they were looking around. They're like, "Why is sheet so expensive? Can't we cut out the middleman and get this done?" So they set up
That
this.
definitely came from an argument.
Yeah, they were screaming at each other. So there's no like markups, fees, nothing like that. You can save as much as 300% on these sheets, and I use them, and I love them.
I also use them and also love them.
You got gray ones, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that your deal? Weird. I'm a white sheet guy. Let's go white.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
My Brooklinens are white.
Here we go.
They were the winner of the best online betting category in Good Housekeeping, which I know you love. As a
I attended the
magazine.
awards last year as a presenter for Best Pillowcase.
So, this is what I'm saying. You're getting luxury sheets, super underpriced. You got to try them. Brooklinen sheets are the best, most comfortable sheets I've slept on. Brooklinen.com has an exclusive offer for just our Dollop listeners. Get $20 off and free shipping when you use promo code THEDollop at brooklinen.com. Brooklinen is so confident that they offer a risk-free 60-day night satisfaction guarantee and a lifetime warranty on all of their sheets and comforters. The only way to get $20 off and free shipping is to use promo code THEDollop at brooklinen.com. That's Brooklinen, BROOKLINEN.com. Promo code THEDollop. These are the best sheets ever.
Brooklinen. We give a sheet. I'll see myself out of this. No problem exiting on my own here.
Now we're also sponsored by RX Bar, which you were already a huge consumer of
Yes,
before
still remain to be.
they came on board.
Yes, simple ingredients. Everything's good. Filling. They're good. They're good. It's a good travel snack.
Yeah,
but it's also a good in-betweener.
I use them when I hike because I hike up to the top of the San Gabriels, and then I break out an RX bar.
Reward yourself with an RX bar.
Blueberry.
Blueberry's great. Yeah. Every one of them has listed ingredients right on the front. It's like 4 dates, like
they tell
2
you
egg whites, like some peanuts, and some of that stuff.
They tell you on the front. It's not a surprise bar.
No BS.
Nope. RX bar core ingredients do all the talking. It's simply like eating 3 egg whites, 2 dates, and 6 almonds with no BS. That's what you just said. Whether you like it sweet or savory, chocolate or fruit flavors, then there's an RX bar for you, particularly for Gareth.
Yay.
RX bars come in 11 different flavor and varieties. They're gluten-free, soy-free, and dairy-free with no added sugar, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, preservatives, or fillers. RX bars are great for breakfast on the go, a snack at the office, throwing in your bag when you go on a plane, in your backpack, bike ride, or a hike. Who said hike?
I think you're going to get a football snap today if you're not careful.
Or as a pre- or post-workout snack. We love them. I use them.
Aaron gets
I'm going to start giving them to Aaron for free. What's your favorite one? I like blueberry.
I like peanut butter.
What's up, boy?
Yeah.
So for 25% off your first offer, visit rxbar.com/dollop and enter promo code dollop at checkout. That's rxbar.com/dollop and code dollop for 25% off your first order.
Man, I should be taking advantage of this.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
I'm an idiot.
Why wouldn't you do that?
They should put brain stuff in the RX bars. Dave, I've got a few dates to throw at you. I'll be at the Tempe Improv May 31st through June 2nd. You can go on their website, and there's a promo code, which is Dollop, and you get $10 tickets on all of the shows. And then June 21st through 23rd, I'll be at the Stress Factory in New Jersey. And then Laughs Comedy Club in Seattle, June 29th and 30th. I'll be there. Hey, Dave's showboating for some reason. Not sure what's happening.
I have an album also.
Oh yeah.
Gareth doesn't.
Nope. Don't have enough time to get it together. Hey.
Is there anything else you want to say? I know we were gone for a week because stuff happened.
I'm fine. I don't know if you want to talk at all.
Care.
I know. A lot of times when people talk about the podcast, they talk about how they love the banter before the show. Mm-hmm. I read a review from the Harvard Crimson where the gentleman's very effusive about his praise for our commercial work and our banter pre-show.
Yeah, he really likes it when we give dates and do commercials. He'd prefer that happen at the end when he doesn't have to have to listen.
And we'd prefer people to go to things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we would. April 5th, 1839.
All right.
Year of our Lord.
Everything seems to be the year of our Lord.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Robert Smalls was born a slave on Ashdale Plantation on Ladies Island, South Carolina.
What the hell?
Hey, boy.
There's a lot to digest here already.
Yeah.
Ladies Island?
Uh-huh. Hi.
And that is a Fox show?
Yeah, Ladies Island is a Fox show.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
From
just
the makers of Cougar Town. Ladies Island.
So the way it works is there are 12 women dropped onto an island. And,
Help!
They have to kill each other.
Oh my God! What?
The last one out gets addressed.
Is there a host?
It's a good show.
Oh my God! They look amazing.
His mother, Lydia Polite.
What's Dave?
What happened?
Yeah, a lot happened. His mom's Lydia Polite.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was 43 and she was a house slave.
Okay.
House slaves had a better life than field slaves, obviously, as
Sure.
we've all seen in the films.
Yeah.
Many were taught to read and write.
Sure.
House slaves, anyway. The children of house slaves are often raised alongside their master's white children.
Okay. Right.
Female slaves served as nannies.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So it's like a family affair sort of thing, except
yeah,
that
except
someone
half of the family's
owns
forced.
you.
Exactly.
Right,
Half of the family's
yeah.
forced to be in the family.
Yeah. With Robert Smalls, who his father is, it's a little murky. We're not really sure who his father is.
You mean Richard Impolite?
No, that's not no one. No. It is believed his mother's owner, Henry McKee, was Robert's father.
Okay, gotcha.
Some people would call that rape.
Yeah, no, and strong history of it too.
Yeah. Others think
The founding fathers,
Yeah.
big fans.
Big fans. Others think Henry McKee's father, John McKee, was Robert's father. So either the owner or the owner's dad.
Was there a Maury Island? We should get them on that.
There was also Patrick Smalls,
Okay.
who was a white manager on the plantation, and people thought that he might be the father. His last name obviously matches, but one Smalls biography concluded the name Smalls was given to Robert because he was short,
Okay.
and not because he was the.
It's a nail in the coffin for the Smalls guy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Ken Burns can do a whole documentary about just this.
Yeah. And is that just what we're in, like the Dick Tracy naming phase
Yeah,
of
we're just
enslavement? That's fun.
But his father was definitely white because Robert Smalls had, quote, distinct mulatto features.
Cool terms. Welcome back to Cool Terms. Cool terms that are fine to use.
Henry McKee treated Robert like a son in some ways, except he didn't teach him how to read or write.
Right. So in
like a son,
couple ways.
A son in the way that you don't beat him, maybe, or
Right.
you let him sleep inside, like
Sure.
those kind of ways.
Right. Good father stuff.
The McKees had 4 kids, although one died at 5, another one at 2. No, wait, they had 10. He ended up having 10. So at this time, I think they had 4. But
Either way, it's not something that we can joke about or laugh about. Period. Okay? It's a fact.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
No.
Let's leave it there.
No.
Not funny.
And this is the first time I've ever read of kids dying in
Dave,
history.
Dave, not okay to talk about.
Okay.
It happened, sure.
Yeah.
But we're not here to make light of it.
No.
This is straight up information. We are going back to the original version of the Dollop where it's just you in a garage shouting to yourself. It's time to cut me out according to some person.
Robert spent a lot of time at the McKee house and was friends with the McKee children and their white friends.
Sure.
And like many local slaves in the area, Robert had a love for water because it's right there on the water, right?
Yeah. Oh God, I thought you meant like
No,
drinking.
not just
I was
drinking.
Like, yeah,
He
no,
wasn't
we're
just
all.
like, water!
I'm consumed by staying hydrated.
No, I mean like water, like
Right. He liked water fun and
like the swimming in it,
sure,
and that
sure.
kind of business.
I get it. I was a kid once.
He enjoyed boats and ships. When he was a kid, he would run down on the docks with the other children when they heard passing steamships whistling.
Okay.
So that's a good time. I don't know
That
if
is a
you've
great
ever-
time.
I don't know if you've ever been a child, but that's really something.
That's where you want to be.
Yeah, steamship coming.
Woo! Now what?
Yeah, that's it. That's the day. That's the day.
I'm exhausted.
Okay, let's go back to me owning you.
Oh boy, I think I know why I look forward to the steamships.
Because of their house slave lives, his mom thought that Robert wasn't getting the real gist of what slave life was like.
In a bad way? She's like,
She
you
wanted-
don't have the understanding you need to have?
Well, she was like, you should know what this is really like.
Sure.
Because
There's a reality out there you might get hit in
That's
the
right.
face with someday.
That's right,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
so when he was 10, she took him to see a slave auction and a whipping post where
shit.
slaves were beaten. Just a little field trip. It's a good field trip if you're a kid.
It's
see,
just, I mean, even the, it's dark.
Yeah.
Keep going.
It is also believed she took him to the fields to work as a field hand, picking cotton, rice, and tobacco and sleeping on dirt floors.
Steamship! Let's go! Let's all, what? Why? But there's a steamship to whistle at!
Back to the steamship.
Let's go whistle at the steamship, guys!
So his view of slave life changed pretty abruptly.
From that experience.
Yeah, it's weird.
Weird.
That, yeah.
How were his white friends at that point to him? He was like, future enemies.
So suddenly he's not really into being a slave.
Sure.
Suddenly he's, not down. So when he was 12, Robert's mother convinced McKee to send him to Charleston to learn a trade because she didn't want him to become some beaten and overworked field slave. Like if you could get a job, have a thing to do, then you wouldn't have to live that life. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, except for the ownership part.
Right.
At this point, Robert started to speak out against slavery and challenging local laws, which kept getting him arrested.
Right. Yeah. It's illegal to question
ownership. Owned. Yeah.
Yeah. You're questioning ownership. Get in this place where we own you temporarily.
It's not. I guess it doesn't really make that.
No.
So Henry McKee would bail him out of jail every time, right? Old dad.
Okay.
Kind of dad. His mom started to feel fear for his safety because he's getting a little,
right.
Yapping.
Yeah. She should have never taken him out into the real world.
That's right. So in 1851, McKee sent Robert to Charleston. He lived in one of the McKee's homes there and worked as a busboy at a hotel.
Okay.
He made $5 a week, which was all sent to McKee.
Sure. That's good stuff. Nice, good daddy.
Yeah, you see how
maybe.
that works as a really good profit situation for the owner.
Yeah,
for
sure. Well, to be fair, though, has the owner gotten enough?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't
know. So it's time to worry about his bottom line.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. That's our hero, obviously.
Yeah, he's definitely our hero in this. So he took a second job as a street lamp lighter.
Mm-hmm. Different times. That job got hurt real bad.
No, that job
electric
got
economy
crushed by electricity. Crushed.
Yeah.
As did there was also the.
That would be like
remember
Trump
the
would be
guy-
like, "We're bringing back lamp lighters. We're all going to be lighting lamps again. Take my hand." The new economy.
There's also the guy that would go around and knock on windows with a big stick to wake people up.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy got fucked by alarm clocks. And just light, I assume.
Yeah, and then any other way. No snooze with that guy.
No.
Could you come back in 7 minutes? You won't be sleeping anymore. But I would just really...
I just want to lay with my
I
eyes
want to lay
closed.
with my eyes closed,
That's all.
awake, and ruin my morning a little slowly.
That's all I want.
Okay.
Can you come back in 3?
I just came back after
I
7.
know. Just give me 3.
What is your plan?
I'd like to cut it in half.
I have other windows to wrap.
I know, but I just a couple more minutes with my eyes closed.
I don't know what I just looked at, but I shouldn't have it.
Yeah, you got a wrist.
Do I have it? I might have it.
You might. No, not a wristwatch. Maybe a pocket watch.
Oh,
I don't know if
that's
they had
what
a
it
wristwatch.
is.
I don't know if they were smart enough to put it on their wrist yet.
No. Fucking idiots.
So he negotiated with McKee to keep the extra money from the lamp lighting job.
What a great negotiation.
Yeah.
You mean keep the money that you've earned?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm listening.
He hired himself out for various jobs at the docks and on ships, and he finally eventually became a sailor and then worked his way up to wheelman.
Whoa.
If he had been white, he would have been called a pilot, but since he was black, he was called a wheelman. Can't let people use the same terms for your job description.
It is funny. It is amazing that like white people were like, we're a little sensitive about our terms. So
Yeah, let's not.
we don't love it when people use our terms against our will.
I'm a pilot, so you're not a pilot?
Anyway, we'll say whatever we want.
Yeah.
Drive.
Go.
Wheelman.
As a wheelman, Robert became an expert at navigating the local waterways.
Sure.
Around Charleston there. He was respected and moved into leadership roles. His background made him feel at ease talking to people from all different walks of life,
Okay.
which I think is probably a little bit rare at this time.
Yeah.
In 1856, at 17 years old, Robert fell for a 31-year-old hotel maid named Hannah Jones.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, we all know what's going on there.
Yeah, gotta
Yeah.
fluff the pillows. Change the sheets.
What?
Bring more towels.
What is that?
You know what I mean?
No.
Maybe clean the cups in the bathroom.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's trying to... These are things he's saying. Like, he needs you to come in here and make sure the pen works.
What?
On the pen. Check the second drawer for the Bible, baby. While you're over there. Keep reading.
Okay. Hannah had 2 daughters, 12 and 14. So he's 3 years older than...
Call me Dad!
He might want to date the 14-year-old, but because it just seems more natural.
At
But
this
he's the
point,
31-year-old.
yeah.
He's almost twice his
That's
age.
fun. That's a normal situation for everybody.
Yep, it's all good. I feel like a sitcom's coming.
Uh-oh.
But because they were slaves, they couldn't legally enter into a contract, which meant they had to ask their owners to let them marry, which is cool. That's a cool thing because, like, you know, the proper thing you're supposed to do is if you marry a woman, you're supposed to ask her parents, like, you know, like your daughter's
Yeah,
hand.
but instead you
And
ask
this
the
time
man
you
who-
gotta go, hey man, you own me, so can I marry this person I love?
Oh, well, you want to get married, do you?
I love your
Well.
older, hot slave.
Excuse me.
Nothing. Sorry, I got distracted.
What are you asking? Hannah's hand.
Oh yeah, and a lot more. You know what I mean?
What do you mean a lot more?
I mean,
Listen to me, Wheelman.
yeah.
You may take her hand, but you take nothing else.
I'm gonna take all that.
I will shut this down.
Take all that shit. Take all that shit.
I like your style, Wheelman.
come on,
I like
get
your
her. You know,
Go get her.
thank
Have
you.
fun.
Thank you.
But if you have a lot of kids and one dies, we won't make light of it.
Okay.
Because it's not okay.
Right. So the owners let them marry. Slave couples weren't.
So great of the
Isn't
owners.
that really? I mean,
Great of the owners.
the cool thing is having progressive slave owners.
It's just nice.
Yeah. They weren't usually allowed to live together when slave.
Sure.
If they're, I assume if they're owned by the same guy, they could because they would be on the same property. But if they're owned by different owners, then it's complicated. And that's gonna be the name of the sitcom. It's complicated.
It's complicated. Where we got one guy with 17. It'll be Randy Newman. It's a complicated theme song. It's a complicated.
He's owned by one guy.
But then he asked for her hand in marriage, and he said, okay. It's a complicated.
So their owners, Hannah's owner was named Samuel Kingman, and his owner McKee. They allowed them to get married and live together as man and wife.
Okay.
They're completely separate from their owners because they both have jobs. So they're like, just keep the money coming in, and you guys can do whatever you want.
Right. Okay. So, but that was a thing where you would sort of like if a slave was working, then you would get their income, and that was just like a better situation than having to go sort of work the property in a way.
I guess so. I mean, it all sounds pretty fucked.
Well, it's totally fucked, but I would say that out of those situations, yeah, I mean, again, it's two piles of shit, but.
That's him.
Oh, wow. Boy, really, neckwear was at an all-time crazy in this era. I think the one thing racists could unite on was that the things they were putting around our collars were bizarre and not helpful.
It's almost clowny. And then she is here.
Okay.
Obviously, the picture's not as good of her because.
Yeah. It looks like they put a filter on it.
But you know, he's super into that.
Sure.
Yeah. So he 2 years later they have a daughter named Elizabeth Smalls, and now he's worried the owner could sell away his wife and kid. Right. That's a weird thing we don't have as much today when you get married. But back then, if you're a slave and you got married, your wife's owner could sell because whatever came out of her, he owns.
Oh my God!
So he could sell your kid and your wife away.
What?
Just because he's like, I need some extra cash or whatever. You know,
Little walk around funny money.
And he's like, I'm gonna get some blow instead. Like he tell you for like whatever, you know. Cool. So Robert talked to Hannah's owner Kingman, and he agreed to sell his Robert, his own wife and daughter, to him for $800.
The owner of Hannah, agreed to sell Robert, Hannah, and the daughter for $800.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So he could buy his own daughter and his wife.
What a
pretty great.
Again, another sweetheart deal.
Yeah.
Thanks, Whitey.
He starts saving, and Robert's deal with McKee, he was able to keep about $15 a month after all is said and done.
Okay, so he's 3 years away.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
In 1860, Lincoln was elected, Abraham Lincoln.
The Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah.
The guy with the weird head?
Yeah.
Weird beard?
That's the guy.
The guy who had no idea what he was doing with his head?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The good people of South Carolina were furious because he didn't want them to own people. And they were super into that. Like, that was part of their jam.
Yeah.
And on December 20th, 1860, South Carolina became the first state to secede from the Union.
Okay.
So we'll see them later.
Yeah.
Off they go.
We'll secede them later.
Don't ever.
I would never do it
just
again.
stop talking.
In retrospect, I should not have.
The better thing is for you to just stop
Absolutely,
talking.
not disagreeing.
Are you on here? South Carolina's secession declaration?
Sure.
Quote, a geographical line has been drawn across the Union, and all the states north of that line have united in the election of a man to the high office of president whose opinions and purposes are hostile to slavery. That kind of puts a dent in the whole state rights argument. So it turns out pretty much about slavery. Actually, it is about states' rights because the South didn't want the North to have free black people. So that states' right part.
Yeah, but I think your point is fair.
Yeah. So Robert was hired to pilot the steamer Planter.
You mean wheelman it?
Wheelman.
Let's not go throwing around terms he hasn't earned yet. He's not a white, Dave. He's not a pilot.
That was bad of me.
Actually, that'll be a great It's Complicated plot. That'll be great. Where today Robert's going to become a pilot.
That's the Planter right there.
Okay. Was he whistling the whole time he was wheelmaning?
Yeah, he always whistled. So he quickly becomes respected and trusted on board. There's a few slaves on the Planter. On April 12th, 1861, the Civil War kicked off.
Hey!
Congratulations, everybody. Right in South Carolina, right in Charleston, where Confederate forces fired on Fort Sumter, which was occupied by Union soldiers. So they kick it off and they go, "There's a fort. It's here in our stuff." The fort is bombarded. Charleston's rich white residents came out to watch, quote, "a splendid pyrotechnic exhibition." Mm-hmm. So they all got up on the roofs and they watched the bombing of.
So this is pre-fireworks.
Pre-fireworks, but they watched the attack of.
Well, look at that out there. That's fun to watch, isn't it?
She pretty.
Oh, that's nice.
The Confederates, they chartered their Planter, like they chartered the. Here's Fort Sumter. They chartered it, and they started using it to haul supplies.
Okay.
Including ammunition and guns.
Who was doing that? The
Confederates.
Confederates. Okay, so
in and out of Charleston Harbor, right? So you
Conflict.
get it. So Robert is essentially, and his other slaves on the ship are essentially working to keep themselves slaves.
Mm-hmm. Hard to keep the energy up for that job.
Yeah, I mean when
Hard
you
to
talk
keep fighting
about
for that.
trying to keep the ship morale up,
Yeah.
that's a hard one to.
Come on, boys, otherwise these slaves will get free. Present company excluded. Not want to offend you, Robert. You know I've always found you to be a terrific wheelman. Can't have you out there piloting, making your own money. Imagine. What a world. That Lincoln, he's beard to stovetop top weird.
I like he drank a beer after that.
That's right.
So
You want one? There was a 3-pack.
I'm good. One day while the captain was not on the boat, a slave crewman put the captain's straw hat on Robert's head and said, quote, "Boy, you look just like the captain." That comment stuck with Robert. A Union Navy blockade was put in place to stop Confederate states from trading. So they put ships out there, blocked off the ports.
Sure.
Major southern ports were blocked, including Charleston. This really hurt the economy of the South, and they couldn't make profits, and they started starving.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Secession's not easy.
No, it's not. The Confederacy tried to use torpedoes on the blockade, but that didn't work.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they had torpedoes.
What?
Yeah.
So they don't have watches for their wrists, but they have
Right,
torpedoes.
they have torpedoes.
No fireworks.
But I guarantee you some guy's going to write in and go, "They had watches, man."
Yeah.
You know, I thought your podcast, I thought that you were really on top of history.
I don't think it's fun to make fun of the watch technology back then. They were doing pretty good.
My dad died making a watch.
Hey, my name's Teddy Pocket Watch. Little offended by your last podcast.
Just straight up offended, like directly at me, like you're talking to me. The Confederacy, so they're fucked. The blockade's successful. They're not doing all. In November 1861, Union troops took Port Royal, which is about 60 miles. I think it's south of Charleston.
I believe it is south.
Oh yeah. So all the Southern whites fled. They just fucking bailed.
Cool.
But the slaves didn't. They're like, "Oh, this is really good."
Yay!
So by March, Robert's mother is now.
How
living...
great does it have to feel when whites are fleeing?
Oh,
You're just like, oh my God, what? Yes.
that's like
more of whatever's happening.
Normally, like what's the Bambi? Like when you ever see things fleeing, you're supposed to be scared. But when whites are fleeing, I think it's okay.
When whites are fleeing, you're like, stick around. I think some good change is happening. If animals run to the higher level, run with them. If whites run, just stick around because something good might be coming.
So the slaves stayed. By March, Robert's mother was living free in Beaufort, engaged to a cook.
They must just be, it is obviously a dark ass, awful time. This has to feel pretty good.
Yeah, pretty fucking great. So Robert thought living as a free man in Beaufort sounded pretty good, much better than shipping guns to people who wanted to keep him a slave.
That was a conflicting occupation for him.
Super. By 1862, he had saved $700 of the $800 to buy Hannah and Elizabeth.
How many years are we talking here?
That's like 3, I think.
Okay.
It's a little bit.
Sure.
But then they had another kid, Robert Smalls Jr. So now...
No.
But sometimes I called him Beauregard. Nicknames were weird.
Beauregard's always been a winner.
Yeah. Well, you want to keep it short.
So you,
don't
I mean,
wanna call him
if you're
Rob.
Robert here, you would it would be better to hold off on another kid, right? Because
yeah.
then you get the wife and the kid,
Right.
And then you can have as many kids.
But you're super into boning.
Yeah, hey,
Like she's a hot 31-year-old lady. You're
hey
a
man,
17-year-old
you and I
dude,
get it.
you
We're
know?
both like
Yeah.
17-year-old dudes. We always
Right?
say that.
Yeah. I need a nap.
I want one too.
Yeah.
And I would need it.
Yeah. So now he doesn't know what the price is going to be, right?
Well, because inflation.
He doesn't go back to the owner, but he's like worried. Well, the price is going to go up because I had a kid, so
Right.
which is a cool thing to think of, like
For
your
sure,
life
that's how you want
is-
to plan a family.
Yeah.
That's what they mean when they say family planning.
Yeah.
How much will it cost you to buy your kids?
By April 1862, a barge manned by in April 1862, a barge manned by slaves was sailed out to the Union fleet and turned over. So in Charleston, there's a barge, and all these slaves are working on. They're like, "Why don't we just take this bad boy out to the blockade?" So they just sailed the
Well,
barge.
now hold on a minute. It looks like they're headed out to that blockade.
I'm starting to think we shouldn't have just left all the slaves on the barge.
Oh man, they're starting to think for themselves, like we feared.
Oh boy, it's like
They're becoming independent thinkers.
I don't like it. So,
Grumble.
so this wasn't a huge event, but definitely a black eye sort of to the south there.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. Robert Small kept up appearances and attacked the thieves on the barge as, quote, the meanest of mortals.
He attacked the thieves on the.
Yeah, the guys who stole the barge.
Oh,
he called
okay.
them. So he's playing a game.
Wow.
He's
Okay.
playing a game.
Sure.
A fellow slave crewman jokingly said they should steal the planter. And Robert said that actually wasn't a joke. And he cautiously checked with the other slaves in the crew if they wanted to steal the planter.
Mutiny.
Except for one slave he didn't trust.
Okay.
So how fucked up as a slave do you have to be that other slaves are like, "Hey man, you want to get out of here?"
Yeah, and you're so damaged that you're like, I'm worried what'll happen. Yeah.
Go.
That's the environment you get created when you have total
So
fear.
no talking to that guy. The rest of the crew starts meeting at Robert's house to come up with a plan.
Okay.
Robert then told Hannah and said they would probably be executed on the spot if they were caught. And Hannah said, quote, "It is a risk, dear, but you and I and our little ones must be free. I will go, for where you die, I will die."
I get it.
Yep.
Get it?
Yep. The planner then went on a 2-week trip and came back with 4 large guns from forts that were being dismantled. In Charleston, the crew loaded 200 pounds of ammunition and more guns on.
So they're just like, they really do not see this coming.
There's a shitload of guns on that
Yeah.
ship. There are a
They're just loading
shitload
up.
of guns on that ship.
It's a shipload.
Shipload. Sorry. I didn't speak
No need to
well.
cuss. My mother will send notes.
So it's supposed to leave the next morning and take the guns and ammunition to, a bunch of guys who were...
Supposed to is interesting.
Yeah. The planner was moored at the wharf in front of General Ripley's headquarters.
Believe it or not.
He was in charge of the planter and had been in charge of the barge that was stolen.
Oh boy, so he's having a bad run.
Yeah, well, he had it. There he is.
Oh, there we go.
The Ripper. Look at that. There's no mouth there. It's just all hair.
I'm aiming for that territory.
So 20 guards were posted at the wharf that evening.
Okay.
Some just a few paces from the boat. The ship was... Are you looking at your beard right now?
I'm comparing my beard to this gentleman's
What
beard.
in the fuck are you doing?
I want to lose my mouth.
God, it's so horrible. I'm going to lose my mouth is the worst thing that's ever been said on this podcast.
Oh, that's unfair.
Yeah. So there's all these guards just a few paces from the ship. The ship is scheduled to head out in the morning. So 3 white officers, Charles Rayleigh, Samuel Hancock, and Samuel Pitcher, were supposed to stay on board overnight.
Okay.
Especially because the barge has been stolen. So
Right.
like, hey, white guys, let's have some white guys on the boat.
Come on, whiteys.
That's all we need is just some white guys to hang on the boat.
Okay. Incapable of that.
Yeah, but those guys went to party.
We're white.
Yeah, come on, man. We got to get some beer. You guys are cool, right? Hello?
You sleeping, dude?
Yeah.
Well, me and the other Sam were just talking. Maybe we'll just go to town, just grab a few ales, then come back.
Yeah, so like
I know we're meant to watch it, but let's just grab like 3 ales real quick.
Just 3 and then back on it.
3 RQ and then right back.
It'll be fine. We've got like some slaves here watching it.
They're
not
sleeping, dude.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
love beer,
Live beer,
man.
friends. What could go wrong?
So, into the city they go, and they left Wheelman Robert Smalls in charge.
Interesting.
With no whites on board,
I believe it's about to be pilot Robert Smalls.
Robert told the crew this was it. Word was sent to Hannah and some others on shore, and on May 13th, 1862, Robert and 6 slave crewmen boarded the planter, all except for the guy that they didn't trust.
Yeah, that guy. What? I didn't even know.
Yeah, that guy's. It's like there's a guy in Alcatraz, Escape from Alcatraz, who was supposed to go, who couldn't get out.
The guy couldn't fit.
Yeah, he couldn't fit.
Yeah.
There's always that guy.
Yeah. Well, this guy could fit.
Yeah, I mean, this guy. Well, he couldn't fit mentally.
Sure.
I think. You know what I'm saying?
Dave, God,
Yeah.
way to put a fine point on this. Hi.
So the crew agreed if they were caught, they would blow up the ship rather than go back to slavery.
Wow.
So this is a.
That's an attitude that's hard to fight.
Yep. If the blowing up failed, they, quote, would all take hands and jump overboard and perish together.
Okay.
So they're in.
There's plans.
Yeah. It seems like slavery sucks.
Yeah, they're making a case for that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Robert broke into the cabin and took the captain's straw hat and jacket and grabbed any guns he could find. And at 3:30 a.m., they sailed off. The guards on the wharf didn't do anything because the ship was scheduled to leave, right?
Then?
Usually
So they're
left
just
pretty
like,
early.
okay.
Usually would leave pretty early.
Okay.
The planter headed to a nearby dock several blocks north. So they just go up the city a few blocks.
Sure.
Stop. There on another boat is Hannah, their 2 kids, 4 other women who are related to the crewman or whatever, and another kid. Also the slave sailor who brought them on that boat.
Okay.
A couple of the women were girlfriends of guys on the crew. So once they're all in the planter, Robert explains the plot to all the women and stuff who just got on the boat.
Right.
Some of them were really not down with it.
Sure.
One crewman, quote, they didn't know much about war, but they knew enough to realize that every man of us would be shot or hung if the attempt was a failure. They cried and prayed and entreated, and it took an hour to calm those women down. And then we locked them in the staterooms and threatened to kill the first one who made a loud noise.
Well, I mean, you can't say that they didn't try soft tactics early. So the plan was to be honest, then sort of deal with the emotional situation they've created. And when that didn't take hold, they just locked them into like a ship shed and were like, we'll kill the first one who yaps.
I mean, look, it went on for an hour, it sounds like.
An hour?
Yeah, they said
That's not a lot of time, though.
A fucking hour?
It's not a lot of time when you're telling people, like, look, we might all die.
No, but an hour.
Good Lord, get over it. I mean, get over it.
They don't have any fucking time to fucking. It's got to be like, hey, we're going to not be slaves anymore. Are you in? And then you might die. That's it.
That's the part.
You make your call and you're on board or off board.
For sure. But, yeah. An hour's not long.
It's not long.
It's not long when the next step in your plan is to put them in lock them in a closet.
That's true. All right, I'm with you on that one.
All right.
So the planter heads out again. It has to pass 5 checkpoints. Each one has gun batteries to shoot at it.
It has to pass 5. And what are the checkpoints like?
It's
an eyeballing.
Yeah, so I think you're coming pretty close to shore.
Okay.
And then there's signals, whatever, flag signals or whatever.
Sure.
But you can also see the person, right? So they can see each other. Not too close, but close enough, right?
Okay. So this is treacherous for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's dressed as the captain, and he starts imitating the captain's body language. So he's got the straw hat on and the pipe.
So the distance is far enough that you could potentially not tell the skin color.
It's also nighttime.
Okay, right.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
Great.
So in the silhouette, he's doing
Morning, Whitey.
He's like Rich Little.
He's like Rich Little.
Rich Little of Charleston.
Oh, morning, white man.
So
well, he must be white. He called me a white man.
Have you ever listened to Rich Little impressions? They're spectacularly bad. They are all Rich Little.
I grew up when making fun of Rich Little was the bit, not listening to Rich Little. Yeah. Are they terrible? I thought he was good.
Oh no, go back and look. I remember recently went back and looked, and I was like, my God, all Rich Little impressions are just Rich Little.
That's great. What a great living he made.
Yeah. So he gives the correct signals to all the checkpoints, and they make it past all the checkpoints.
Okay.
Now the sun comes up, and at that point, Robert knew the Confederates would be onto them because there's no ship.
Right.
So they sped for the blockade, which was a bit problematic because a Confederate ship was speeding at a Union blockade.
Oh, right. Gotcha. Right.
Yeah.
The look is not great.
Not great. The Union ship, the USS Onward, the guy who saw it screams an alarm. They thought it was a rebel ramming ship, right? The Onward was brought around to fire on the planter. And then the planter lowered the Confederate flag and raised a white bed sheet.
Nice.
A
Brookline.
Brooklyn, yeah. Brooklyn, yeah.
Brooklyn.
Once they got close enough,
Holy shit, does that look comfy?
Once they got close enough, Robert yelled out, quote, "Good morning, sir. I've brought you some of the old United States guns, sir, that were for Fort Sumter, sir." So he's,
It's a good intro.
Yep. Now the 7 ship slaves, the guys on the ship, cheer, and then the women and kids came up from below.
They were going to kill us one by one. Their plan was to literally kill any one of us who cried.
I've been chained downstairs.
All right, Nancy. Come on, celebrate.
Robert turned the planter over to the captain of the Onward, and the American flag was raised on the planter.
Okay.
In the morning, General Ripley wakes up. Oh, no, there used to be something here that blocked the sun.
What? Something's different.
Hello?
Hello? Why didn't that boy rap me awake earlier?
That's the Onward, by the way.
Oh, that's what I pictured.
Yeah. So Ripley wakes up and he's like, what the shit? I think that's an exact quote.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
This is Beardy. No Mouth Beardy?
Yeah, No Mouth Beardy wakes up and he's like, what's happening again? Is this happening again? So no one knows anything, right? Everyone's just very confused.
Well, that sounds like the South at this time.
Yeah. The guard had been posted. The guards that were posted at the wharf said, it took off at 3:30 and the captain was up on the rail.
Yeah. What about the 3 shitheads?
So they start looking for everybody. They're looking for the captain and the officers, and then
they find them.
They find them, and they don't know anything.
So what was their plan? Was to just get shit canned and then not do anything?
I think they'd done it a million times. I think they had, just gone off. Off the ship ashore and got shit faced, and then come back in the morning, and the slaves have been watching the boat, and everything's good. So finally, the Confederates look out, and they see the planter next to the ships in the blockade, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's
the flag's different."
Well, that happened. So rumors.
I'm a pilot, bitch. Oh, that wheelman asshole. That wheelman.
Of course, rumors went around that it was white Union spies because it couldn't be the black guys.
Wore the skin of a black man and pretend. Our theory is complex, to say the least.
It's not great. It has some holes.
It has a lot of holes, but it what it does is it preserves the idea that whites are great.
Yes.
And cannot be outsmarted
That's the best
by
idea.
another race.
Confederate leaders in Richmond, Virginia were told what had happened. This is very bad news because the planter was exactly the kind of ship the Union needed, which was a shallow water transport ship.
Hey, I guess you just can't have slaves for so long.
Yeah. Also, tons of guns on board.
Oh, that's a shame.
A little bit of a perk. Robert E. Lee, who was the leader. Yeah, Bobster, who is the, if you're from another country, he's a monster who was the leader of the South, the Confederate Army.
Boy.
I guess he wasn't the leader. Yeah, kind of not great. That's him. He looks mad. I picked one where he looks mad because this just happened.
And again, look at how sloppy that stupid little tie is.
It's not great. Plus, comb the side of your hair.
Yeah, honestly.
How
many buttons do you have, by the way?
Okay, all right, let's take it easy. There was a big button time.
A lot of things to clasp.
He wanted whoever was responsible punished. Charleston newspapers called the white officer's absence, quote, criminal, disgusting treachery.
Absolutely.
Other press in the South jumped on board, calling it, quote, gross negligence and demanded prompt punishment. One newspaper called it, quote, one of the most shameful events of this or any other war.
Yeah, absolutely. Aside from enslaving a people. get our echelon straight. It's amazing. What a tragedy.
Yeah.
We will be embarrassed about this in the future.
This is so embarrassing that you guys went to drink and left the people we own to just be on a ship.
Guys, history will not look back fondly on the fact that the whites let the blacks go.
Seriously, you guys are going to look like dicks.
Oh, my God.
Dicks.
Anyhow.
One paper said the officers thought the war was a, quote, nice frolic. Yeah, not taking it seriously.
Sure.
The 3 white ship officers were arrested and jailed. Over on the other side...
Do you have any idea what it's like to be put in a place you don't want to be? We're still pro-slavery.
Over on the other side, Robert was having a great time. He told the story to the local commodore, who told the captain of the Onward to submit a claim for the black crew. So anytime a ship was captured by the Union, it was auctioned off, and half of the money went to the Union, and then the other half went to the crew that had captured the ship.
Dynamite.
In this case, they were saying the Onward didn't capture it; you should just give it to the black crew because they brought it over. The Commodore then sent a recently captured Southern civilian, so they'd captured a boat and there was a civilian guy on it, and they sent him back to Charleston with a message.
Well, this is awkward.
That the Commodore found it, quote, mortifying that the planter should have been purloined from officers who he still considered countrymen. Oh, fucking stick in the dick right there. Stick in the old dick.
Pick a side, asshole.
So none of this was helping the 3 white officers who had been arrested. They were court-martialed and charged with disobedience of orders and neglect of duty. 2 were convicted. The charges against the other guy were dropped. After a general concluded the office, so they're tried, convicted, everyone's happy, and then a general butts in and says, this isn't right. The officers were not given clear orders to stay on the ship. And the ship owner, who was a rich Scotsman named George Ferguson, didn't seem to care about giving the order, never seemed to give a shit that there should be white men on the ship at all times. So they're blaming the owner now.
Okay, so now, right.
Ferguson and his wife had high social status in Charleston, and they owned a few ships, and the 2 crew officers were then released. And whites in Charleston were livid.
Sure. I mean, let me know when they're not living in Charleston. Seems like they got a lot of beef. They wanted someone punished for letting the slaves. Someone has to get fucked up over there.
Slaves just can't go free. Another very angry person in all of this was Samuel Kingman, Hannah's owner.
Sure.
So he was out. He's now out 4 slaves.
Right.
Hannah, their 2 kids, and her daughter Clara. He owned all of them.
Okay.
So he filed the claim for loss of property with the state of South Carolina.
That is just
and
so
requested
unbelievable. Imagine actually like getting that form in front of you for a human. Oh, loss of property. There we are. Name, not a problem.
White people are.
Good history.
Yeah. There's Samuel.
He's looking good.
Yeah, he's a sharp-looking dude.
By the way, cleaned up the net game
Samuel,
a little bit.
Robert. I call him Samuel. Robert.
Cleaned up the net game.
Right. So he said Hannah was worth $800, Clara $1,000.
This is after he'd made the deal.
No. So he's asked for compensation.
Okay.
For losing his slaves.
Okay.
Who he blames on the government for the fuck up, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So Hannah's worth $800, Claire's $1,000, because I guess there's a peak. She's a young lady, so
cool.
And then Elizabeth's $300 because she's a kid, and then Robert, who's an infant, $150.
Wow, what a bargain!
Yeah, bargain. Robert's owner, Henry McKee, he's in a totally different place. He had already lost all of his property when the Union captured Port Royal. He lost his homes, his land, and his slaves.
Okay.
Then 2 of his kids died from scarlet fever. So he's pretty bummed.
Sure.
He's like depressed and didn't seek any compensation for his slave.
Okay.
Also probably his son.
Sure. Well, that is one of the side effects of depression.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want money for your kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
As far as the war, the planter is this huge score. In the cabin was a book with all the, quote, secrets of the signals of the Confederacy.
Oh, my God.
So,
Sergeant, I found a little something in here.
hey, in here, there's a book that has everything.
Put it in the maybe pile.
So now all the little signal flags that we talked about before, they know every signal.
He's just saying, fuck you.
He keeps saying "fuck you" over and over. Also, the Union learned the Confederates had abandoned an island that was in a very important location near Charleston Harbor, and so they just took the island.
Lady Island?
No, but that's yeah.
So there's another Confederate island that they just...
There are a few
Confederates have islands?
But yeah, there's
a little racist archipelago going on over there?
There's islands out in South Carolina, North Carolina.
Sure.
So it's not just cliffs, bro. There's islands out there.
Listen, well, you should talk to the license plate
You think
people.
you would know that with all the fucking documentaries you watch about nature?
Watched 4 hours of David Attenborough on the plane today, so you don't talk to me about what I know about nature, asshole.
Okay.
Do you have any idea the inner? Don't even get me started on the tendons of kangaroos.
Okay, I shouldn't have said anything. So the North goes apeshit. A slave stealing an important ship from the Confederates right at the spot where the war had started was delightful.
When you read it back, it does sound a little bit like a mess up. Like it could be a great grabbing headline.
So Robert Smalls' escape is huge news.
Robert Smalls runs out of holes to fuck the Confederates in. All right, well, this is much.
So for the planter, they get the money. He gets $1,500, which is now about $37,000.
Could he buy the owner? How great would that be? An
God.
attempt to just come
Oh
back,
my
man?
God.
What's up, fuckface? Yeah, I'm giving him maybe 9,000.
Is that enough for you?
I just want you to walk around my cocktail party without any bottoms on and serve my friends. Well, yes, Mr. Smalls.
The other crewmen
Master Smalls.
The
Yes,
other
Mr.
crewmen got $400 to $450 each. Two girlfriends got $100 each. And the wives didn't get any money because the married women, quote, would derive benefit through their various relationships to the men.
Plus all that crying.
Mm-hmm. While the girlfriends, quote, have no such connection and are destitute and unprovided for. So if you're a girlfriend, you get a little bit scratch.
Well, let's...
The amount, however, was actually insanely low and was probably appraised low because they were ex-slaves. So they actually did get kind of fucked. It should have been like twice that.
Sure. Not surprising.
Yeah.
They're still white people.
Well, now we're facing slavery.
Yeah.
And racism.
Yeah.
Now we're hitting racism head on.
Yeah, finally.
Would have been funny if I just not fucked that up. Robert went to work helping to remove underwater mines in Charleston Harbor.
Okay.
What do you?
Underwater mines?
What? Yeah, so they had underwater mines. So it's an explosive device attached to an anchor that's just drifting in the that's just
at the bottom, or they're just floating. They've
well,
weighted
the anchors
them so
at the at the bottom. It's weighted, so then the mine goes up to the top where a ship will hit it, where you can't see it,
Right.
but it's
right.
and
That's
then-
fun.
Yeah.
Boy, the
So,
technology is really hard to pin down for me.
Yeah. So they're all over Charleston Harbor, but Robert had been one of the guys who put them down. So he knew where they all were, and the Union just went and took them all out.
Yummy. No. And we left our magic book on that ship. And we left our book of spells.
So he's making about $40 a month now, which is pretty fucking good.
This is a good little turnaround.
I think the average guy made like 13.
Great.
So he's rolling in it. The average black soldier.
Right.
So Robert also became a voice in the abolition movement. When he was invited to speak in New York, but Admiral DuPont. So he's working for the Union Navy.
Sure.
So the admiral's in charge of him, and so this admiral was like, I don't want you going to. That's
this
him.
guy?
Yeah, he likes to touch his pockets, the inside ones. Likes to rub his tummy.
I know people don't like when we talk about the pictures, but you got to see this guy could not look like he's masturbating a belly button more.
Yeah.
Ooh, that feels nice.
He's got his hand inside his jacket.
Oh, that's a nice feeling inside there.
It's warm in here.
Oh, that's nice. No one tells me what to do. I'm in charge.
So he would be worried Robert would be taken advantage of if he went to New York, because the year before, P.T. Barnum had hired an escaped slave, William Tillman. Tillman had killed 3 captors with an axe and escaped. So he was free.
Behold! A murderer! P.T. Barnum scraping the bottom of the barrel now. What else do we have?
Here's a man who killed people with an axe.
All right, before we bring out the chicken who walks backwards, a murderer.
So he was a free guy who got captured by some Southerners, and they were going to make him a slave, and he killed them with an axe.
Good story. I don't think we're not anti-his story.
I would like that to be a show. So P.T. Barnum like put him on display with the axe.
Sure.
At his museum. Sure. So Admiral DuPont didn't want this kind of thing to happen to Robert.
Right.
So he made him keep working on the ships. Hannah and the kids went back to live in Beaufort. Right?
Wouldn't it be just as easy to just say, do not talk to P.T. Barnum?
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
I think that goes for everybody.
Yes.
Plantations. So Hannah goes and the kids go back to live in Beaufort. The plantations that had been abandoned or captured were being used to give newly freed blacks places to live and work. So they're trying to turn the plantation into something and keep this, people alive by giving them jobs and stuff.
Right.
Robert was a big name now, and in August 1862, he made a trip to D.C. and helped persuade Lincoln to allow black men to enlist and fight for the Union.
Nice.
Up to 5,000 black men were allowed to join the Union forces. During the war, Robert was a pilot on several Union ships, always as a civilian, right? Never joined it. Pilot. Pilo.
Yeah.
He saw action at 17 major battles.
Wow.
Yeah. During one, the Confederates began firing on a ship, and the captain of the ship ran and hid in the coal bunker.
No! 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 They're coming for no! Oh no! 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 No!
Where's the coal hole? Where's the coal hole?
Oh no!
Where's the coal hole?
Oh no! Oh no! 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 Oh no! Shh! 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 Shh!
So now with this going on, Robert's like, well, I kind of don't want to get caught again because I'll be really fucked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then there's a lot of other black guys on board. So he takes over and guides the boat to safety.
Okay.
So the chief quartermaster then made Robert captain of the planter.
Okay.
Quote.
Wow.
Quote, he's an excellent pilot of undoubted slavery and in every respect worthy of that position. The present captain is a coward, though a white man. Dismiss him, therefore, and give the steamer to this brave black Saxon. Okay, so it's kind of a compliment. It's a lot of bummer.
It just, I mean, it's like he read the game. Like, it's the right amount of negging and the right amount of complimenting. He's just like, I'm into you.
It's really.
Meanwhile, that dude's probably still locked in the coal. Like, I hear you.
I ain't done yet. So now captain, Robert's making $150 a month.
Oh yes.
And the average black soldier makes 13. So he's fucking killing it. In May 1863, Robert Jr. died of smallpox at age 16 months old. So, so that's why you only charge $150 for an infant.
Well, that's your bottom line?
Yeah.
You're going to get a hate email.
Because now you've just fed a baby and then it dies.
Ugh. Smallpox.
Smallpox is
smallpox. What is it? Airborne?
Yeah. No. If smallpox ever gets out again, it's just it's the terrifying thing.
It looks awful.
It's horrendous.
Yeah, it looks like you'd be like, yeah, goodbye now, and just jump off a building as soon as you for sure have it.
Well, thank God we haven't destroyed it. So thank God we
keep it. We
keep it
sealed
up.
We got some sealed up files of it just in case.
Robert and Hannah had.
And don't worry, robots are in charge of it.
Okay, good. Robert and Hannah had a third child, Sarah, 7 months later. Sarah was the first Smalls that was born a free person.
Okay, nice. I was just going to say the child died of smallpox, but it's too soon. Not fair.
No.
Not okay.
So the planter was sent to Philadelphia for an overhaul, and Robert took that time that it was being repaired to learn to read and write in 1864. So one day he's in Philadelphia. He's there for a while, obviously, and he gets on a streetcar, and it's a rainy day, and the conductor ordered him to move to the outer platform, which was required. Blacks back then in Philadelphia, it was the law.
Absorb the rain.
You had to stand outside in the rain.
Stand outside in the rain.
So Robert just got off the car. He's like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what rain is, but
yeah,
if I'm outside, then It doesn't work.
The purpose was that to make room for white people, or that was just genuinely like your black get wet?
It was just your black get outside the streetcar, hang on the outside of it. But so he walks home in the rain. Word gets out. It becomes this huge publicized story that a union
Who's
hero.
Who's his PR person?
I know,
got good
right?
PR.
He's got really good PR person. A union hero has been humiliated. So sentiment starts to grow to eliminate race laws in Philadelphia, which is already a Quaker place. So it's not like that wasn't something that was being pushed there.
Right.
It's a big abolitionist place. So when Charleston fell in the war, Robert was there in the planter helping the Union Army. It's got to be a great fucking moment.
Yeah.
Just the best. A few days after the city fell, Robert brought General Saxton. So he brings this general who helped take it over. He brings him to the city. And there's a group of blacks, and they're cheering them on. Oh, my God. Fuck you, Aaron. You just press it.
Just press it.
Bastard. Another guy with his hand.
Oh, another guy. I like to fiddle with my button.
The sort of pose of the moment is to rub your tummy inside of your jacket.
We've got so many buttons.
God, it feels nice in here. My hand.
I mean, honestly, that was like the planking of the 1800s. It's like, yeah, you had a good run, hand in your coat.
Hand in your coat, guy.
What's the point? I might have a pistol.
So Robert brings General Saxon into the city. Giant group of black, now free people are fucking cheering. And then on the outskirts are white people not cheering.
The grumblers.
Yeah, the grumblers.
Right.
They're what's known as the grumblers. They're just sitting there watching. And then Robert sees Ferguson, the old owner of the planter.
Okay, wow.
So he pushes through the crowd, bringing General Saxon with him. And then he introduces him to Ferguson.
Oh, my God.
Which was Robert's way of letting Ferguson know that they're now equals.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He's
What's for
good.
Ferguson? He's like, good. It's a pleasure to meet you, Saxton. Hello again, Robert.
I mean, that's good, right?
Here's $20. Go get yourself something nice. Did you just give me 20?
So, you gotta be fucking kidding me. We'll get it back. We'll get it back. I'm not drunk. So Robert finds out that McKee's house, right, the one in that he grew up in, in Beaufort, was about to be auctioned.
Oh, get out of here.
Because what happened a lot back then was...
Shut up.
The whites would bail.
Shut up. Is this dude about to try to buy the house that he was a slave in?
So the whites would bail, right?
Yeah.
Because southern whites would bail because the union's coming. Yeah. And then... but then they
a moral wave, as we call it.
Then they wouldn't pay their property taxes.
Sure. Yeah.
So then their house... They weren't just taking the houses. They were taking them because they wouldn't pay their taxes. And
right.
Well, now you've lost the house because you didn't... So that's
Robert's
what's happening.
I'm interested.
So he
needs an HGTV show.
He bought the house that he grew up in as a slave for $665.
Get out of here.
And now lived where he and his mother have been slaves.
Oh my God.
It's a fucking kick-ass
house.
Dude,
it's dynamite.
Kick-ass house. Robert and Hannah hosted friends and family in the large house. They were still close with a lot of the slaves they'd escaped with on the planter. And in April 1865, the Confederacy surrendered.
Boy, that is a crazy turnaround, though. That has to be one of those
living in the house, mind-bending, owning it.
But also, it's not even like I bought my childhood home that my mother sold because I made. It's like you probably couldn't fathom the reality of a time when you would be free.
Yeah.
Let alone
own the fucker.
You're buying the house that took your life away.
No, this is the biggest dream come true moment that has ever happened on this podcast.
Yeah.
Ever.
Okay.
Except for the guy who called his own lightning shot.
Otis. I just want to be killed by lightning. I'll never get over that.
So, Confederacy surrenders. The South is in ruins. Just fucking really fucked up.
Well, thank God for the comeback.
So that's Charleston. At
wow.
That point. So, yeah, it's fucked. It's fucked. So Robert helped Henry McKee's family, inviting Henry's widow and some of her children to live at his home, her former home, but now flipped a little bit. because she.
Can I make a pitch that he makes them wait on him and maybe live in a separate house?
Have you heard of the show It's Complicated Too?
Well, there's a crazy new chapter that's complicated too. Robert now bought the house that he was used to do, and now the lady who was living in it lived with him as well. Robert turned his heaven into a living hell. It's a complicated too. It's also complex.
Oh fuck. So so now it's not all that great because the McKees still refuse to eat with Robert, which Robert totally accepted and just arranged for their meals to happen at a different table.
Not okay on any level of any part of this.
I know, right? He's the nicest.
You eat with him.
You fucking eat with him.
You serve him.
Yeah, that's right.
You cook
bring
the shit.
fucking food to the table.
Was that good, Robert? Was that good?
Right?
Please.
Like the craziness of this time that he's like, all right, just
he's
okay.
like, we'll have separate eating times.
I mean, there is a huge part of this that so blacks are now free, and they've been slaves forever, and whites are angry. So there is definitely let's just keep this cool, kind of thing, and let's not have shit kick off again, right? So. A few years later, Robert helped Henry McKee's widowed daughter when she needed money, and he also helped her teenage son get into the U.S. Naval Academy. So he's just a fucking good dude. In the spring of 1866, Robert was transporting some Union officers when he noticed a ship approaching from behind and was coming very, very fast. It was the Fanny, owned by John Ferguson. I remember John Ferguson is Scottish, and he has named his ship the Fanny. Let's just put that out there. Let's just put that shit out there.
Fanny first. Let's go. Yeah, real weirdo.
Right. So he's the guy who used to own the planner. And now this ship, the Fanny, is piloted by a guy named McNulty, not from The Wire.
Thank God, I was going to say. He's drunk.
So the Fanny's coming up quickly, and then it pulls right alongside the planner, which is a super aggressive move.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a stoplight.
And McNulty then ordered the Fanny to turn port, which would put it right in the path of the planter.
Okay.
So Robert realized what McNulty was doing, which was trying to force the planter to crash into some obstructions that were in the river that he knew about.
He's watching this from...
He's on the planter.
He's on the planter. Okay, sorry.
And the dude is fucking rolling up beside him and now trying to push him into some fucking shit that's in the river that he knows is there.
Right.
So he's like, let's not do that. And Robert speeds up and then just plows into the Fanny and pushes the ship up the Savannah River for half a mile. He's like, how about that shit?
Well, hold on a minute. You're supposed to go into the debris. You bastard. That's twice he's done that. That's 2 times.
So McNulty's furious.
Oh, that's bloody it.
Number one, because he got pushed up the river.
Right.
Like a ship bitch.
Yeah.
And then he got ship bitch. He also had a black man had not backed down.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So
and Ferguson has to just be like, ah! You bastard!
So McNulty pulls out a revolver and points it at Robert, and Robert grabs his double-barrel shotgun and points it at McNulty.
Oh my God.
And says, "quote Now shoot." And mind you don't miss, because I won't. So he's also got fucking...
A little Dirty Harry angle.
Yeah, he's got a little Dirty Harry action. Union officers ordered McNulty to stand down.
Sure.
And after a while he did, and then McNulty was arrested.
Well, I'll tell you who looks really good in this is McNulty. Comes out like a real winner in this one. What a loser.
So the planter was sold after a little while for they auctioned it off now because the war's over. They don't really need it anymore. It's valued at $15,000. Ferguson puts in an offer, a bid of $25,000.
Buddy, let it go.
But he used a representative to do it because he thought that if the Union found out about his Confederate background and he used to own the ship, they wouldn't let him buy it. So he has another guy put up the bid, but the government found out and they didn't let him buy the ship.
So, I mean, this guy continues to win.
So then the planter was sold for $7,700 to a man at a Baltimore auction, And that guy turned out to have been a wealthy ship owner from Charleston before the war. Government had no idea, and then he just gave the planter to John Ferguson.
Okay, great.
So that fucking dick won.
Yeah, did he win?
No.
I don't think he won.
But, you know.
No, I mean, he
won that.
Well, what he's able to do now is pretend he won with a story. But I'll tell you got the last bloody laugh. Me, I've got the planter, haven't I? So now, think he's on top. Not that bloody Smalls. Fergie, baby. Fergie.
So
Who's on top? Fergie. I'd like everyone to say Fergie.
Everybody.
Say it next time.
All at once now.
Anyone, please. Bloody hell.
Well, that's a good Coke. So Robert also became a very successful businessman. He's also got a great mind for business. He bought property around Beaufort. He co-founded the Enterprise Railroad Company of Charleston. He co-owned a store. He started a school for black children and became an advocate for free public education. He continued to improve his own reading and writing skills, and he started a newspaper. So he's killing it. He's fucking killing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robert helped form the first Republican organization in South Carolina and began to be called the King of Beaufort County.
Okay. He started a Republican organization. Obviously, these are different times.
Yeah, this is when the Republicans were the Democrats.
Sure.
Yeah. He was respected.
Fun switcheroo.
Yeah, old switcheroo. He was respected and loved by the black community in the area. He was elected to the South Carolina House of Representatives, then to the state Senate in 1870.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Beaufort, African Americans outnumbered whites 7-1.
Oh, yes. Yes.
He was then elected to Congress as one of the first African American members and served in the U.S. House for 5 terms starting in 1875.
Wow.
But not maybe in a row.
Even better.
All this success did not mean he wasn't in danger. South Carolina had their own version of the Ku Klux Klan, which they were called the Red Shirts.
Oof.
There they are. Bunch of fucking shitheads.
Oh, yeah. No, that looks like a high IQ'd group. Hey, which way are we facing for the camera picture again?
We put red shirts on.
I wish we could afford enough buttons to unbutton a couple, put our hands inside our coat.
I put a red shirt on. Hey.
Yeah, we heard you. We already have them on. Look at the camera.
I put a red shirt on.
This only guy says is put a red shirt on.
Hey, we're the red shirts.
Shut up, asshole. You might be too dumb for us.
Hi.
Yeah, maybe not. Now you're saying hi.
We're the red shirts.
Yeah, all right. You're back.
We
Don't
got-
say we're the red shirts, because we already established that. So
We
do
are-
not say we are the red shirts. We are not going to say that again.
We have red on top. Not our heads. Torso.
Okay, no.
Body area.
But you are seeming a little more shrewd than I had anticipated. Pretty well. Nice wiggled.
So while he was touring the state with the Republican governor in 1876 on a campaign, Robert was at a rally in Edgefield, South Carolina, and a red shirt leader and former Confederate general overran the rally and threatened Robert's life. And the Republicans escaped unharmed, but it was noted how easily the red shirts had moved through the town. Quote, even in Mexico, General Butler's command could only be regarded as a revolutionary army, but in South Carolina, they are called reformers.
Right.
It still goes on today.
No.
Robert was running in 1876 against George Tillman, who was what I would describe as one hell of a racist.
Great.
Like one of the best, like a top-notch racist.
Sure.
Like you.
Yeah, thank you. I've always wanted to be in company like that.
I think we only have, do we have a picture of him? It's not here. Oh, there he is. We only have a drawing. I'm sorry. So,
Just click further. Click like in the middle. There you go.
it's fucking bullshit.
Oh, boy. This guy. That's quite a drawing.
Yeah.
So
So
you're going to draw a guy, maybe give a little less forehead?
but I think they were like, let's make him a dick.
Okay.
So Robert described him as, quote, the arch enemy of my race. So that's a hell of a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Tillman did everything he could to stop Republicans from voting, including red shirt attacks, but Robert still won the election. Robert called Election Day in South Carolina, quote, a carnival of bloodshed and violence.
Wow.
That's coming.
Both sides.
Both sides. Well, they called them names before they shot him.
Many sides.
The racist Democrats were not done. The Democratic state government charged Robert with taking a $5,000 bribe. He was convicted and sentenced to 3 years. Republicans were furious, saying he was imprisoned for being a successful black man, and Robert was released when he appealed to the state Supreme Court.
Okay.
And then the election of 1878 wasn't great for black politicians in South Carolina. There were deadly threats from the white supremacist-controlled government. One observer wrote, quote, men are shot at, hounded down, trapped, and held, oh, God, that's an autocorrection, whatever, and held certain meetings are over and intimidated in every possible way. Tillman was his opponent again, and this time he managed to use Robert's unresolved conviction to win.
Right.
The number of blacks who were brave enough to face the violence and threats to vote were just not enough, and Tillman won in a landslide. So he went from winning like 60% when he ran legitimately against him to, I think, 30%.
Quite a drop.
Because of the whole we'll kill you thing.
Yeah. Well, and your fake conviction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The man who had previously owned Robert's home sued him. So after McKee was lost, another guy bought it. I think he bought it from McKee after, like, right before the invasion.
Okay.
And then that guy lost it by not paying taxes on it.
Right.
So that guy is now back in the picture.
Cool.
He's like, hey, man, where's my house?
What? That was years ago. I want it.
He said the sale was invalid. Like, you can't sell my property because you invaded.
Because I fled it, yeah.
But no, you can't, because you still got to pay taxes. This was a common scenario in the South at this point. The case for Robert's house went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1878.
Me again.
And it upheld Robert's title.
Okay.
Robert Smalls' case established a precedent across the South for other black property owners.
Good.
So he's like fucking killing it on all sides.
Yeah.
His bribery case was appealed all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Does he have a room there now? There every 2 months?
But before it was heard, he was pardoned by South Carolina's Democratic governor because he had made a deal. The deal was, if he pardoned Robert, the federal government would drop election fraud charges against a group of white residents of South Carolina. But now Robert was upset because he was not allowed to clear his name, which clearly...
Yeah.
Also, the reason he made a deal when it went to the U.S. Supreme Court is because he was going to fucking lose.
Yeah.
Somehow Robert remained optimistic, believing the election and cheating was so, quote, barefaced and open that it cannot be denied. So he thinks there's so much cheating and so much fucking dickery going on that people are going to be like, well, that can't happen.
Well, he doesn't know what country he's living in, does he?
It turns out that never works.
No. We'll yawn and move on.
But he lost the election, the next election, to Tillman again. And as the Republican Party fell apart due to corruption, he contested the election on the grounds Tillman and the Red Shirts had used violence to intimidate voters. The U.S. Congress agreed.
They agreed with Smalls?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was seated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
The Democrats, they didn't take part in the vote, thinking that if they weren't there, there wouldn't be a quorum and they wouldn't be able to do it, but they did. They had enough votes.
Hey.
So
they've always been idiots.
Now the South Carolina state Democrats responded by gerrymandering the state so no blacks could win a seat anywhere. Still, Robert was Robert, and as luck would have it, a candidate died just before the 1884 election, and he was elected again.
Boom! You can't beat me.
So in the next election, he faced a new opponent. He was now up against African-American Henry Thompson, who was trying to capitalize on the growing rifts between light and dark-skinned African-Americans.
And what is he?
He was dark-skinned, and remember Robert's light-skinned.
Yeah, so he is now saying Robert is not an authentic black man.
Yeah,
or
basically.
something like that.
I mean, isn't it great how it has to come down to this? But yeah, so he's saying Robert is
Who,
not.
it's that guy?
I'm trying to find an older picture of him, but
Not him?
Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah.
That's him?
That's Robert Smalls.
Okay, so I think we can agree pocket watches were still in. Look, that's not a very good picture of that guy.
At some point, he just got tired and blinked.
What do you have to wait, like a minute?
9 hours. So the infighting between the light-skinned and the dark, it lost them the election. The infighting caused the Democrats to win, and Robert Smalls lost. Hannah died suddenly in 1883. Robert married again 7 years later in 1890. He married a lady, and then they had a son. She is...
Okay.
Yep. Then she died.
Okay.
5 years after they got married. Robert made sure all of his kids were educated, even though he served during the war as a civilian. In 1897, he was granted a military pension of $30 a month.
Okay.
He was appointed as the U.S. Customs Collector for the Port of Beaufort by President Benjamin Harrison in 1889. And he kept the job until 1892, when he was kicked to the curb during the Cleveland administration. He was then reappointed by the Republican William McKinley in 1898.
Okay.
He served until 1912, when his reappointment by President Taft was blocked.
I'm not going to do it.
By 2 white senators.
Oh, boy.
One was named Benjamin Tillman.
Oh, boy.
Who was the brother of George Tillman.
Oh, what's up?
Who is the most evil-looking racist that has ever been. And
All,
someday he gets his own podcast.
Does he have a third nostril and missing an eye?
Yes.
So he just got an extra nose hole and no eye hole? Wow, that is definitely evil.
Well, what happened was he had two, they're called, technically, medically, they're called nose hole plugs.
Uh-huh.
And he sucked one up and it popped out his eye.
Oh, okay.
So that's what happened to him.
Actually, that looks like what happens when you just suck on a milkshake too hard. You get a third nostril and your eye goes.
So Robert died of complications from diabetes in his, diabetes? What does he call it on, the guy from Cocoon?
The guy from Cocoon?
Wilford Brimley?
Oh, diabetes? Diabetes?
No. What does he call it, Aaron?
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Robert died from diabetes in his home in Beaufort on February 23rd, 1915. The monument where he is buried is engraved with this quote from a speech he made to the South Carolina legislature in 1895. Quote, "My race needs no special defense, for the past history of them in this country proves them to be the equal of any people anywhere. All they need is an equal chance in the battle of life." Why? Well, it'd be great if they got it at some point. His house is designated a National Historic Landmark. There's currently a proposal to erect a monument in his memory on the grounds of the South Carolina State House. No black representative had such a long congressional tenure as Robert Smalls until the 1950s. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. What do you think?
What do I think? Well, I think that our history with slavery doesn't ever seem to get better. But it is good. I mean, it is good to it is good to hear it's just I mean, look, it is just nice when you hear stories about people getting sticks rammed up their ass. And Ferguson and all these guys
that took a weird turn.
Why?
Sticks rammed up their ass.
Ram them up the ass.
What?
When evil people get screwed,
yeah,
it feels good, even though overall
always.
it's terrible. And it's like
Always.
you do need to we just need to enjoy the small victories.
Yeah. I think that you really have to enjoy the victories of someone who is awful suffering.
Yeah, and you also need. I mean, we're going to need the knowledge and the strength to remind ourselves that you need to take action at some point to stop bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different for white people because they don't have a real strong relationship with
doing stuff?
Yeah.
Well, they do stuff. They just don't do it the right way.
That's called not doing it right. It's not doing stuff. But what does that say? Can I read that?
That's the
Wi-Fi password.
That's the password.
Oh, okay. It's real small. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I'm glad I know about this dude.
Yeah, no, he's a good one. And look, rarely do we do a podcast about a guy who was a hero. This guy's a genuine badass fucking hero. A genuine badass hero.
Lots to love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I sign your car and then we get out of here?
Yeah, let's go sign my car.
All right. Thanks,
Aaron,
everybody.
Aaron, you're fired.
Aaron's fired. Sorry about that, bud. Good work, though. Not sure why you're gone.